All right, guys, welcome back to Keepin' the Comic, and today we're jumping into a new Wolverine story. Now, in this one, we see a world that is essentially ending after what happened to Magneto, and Wolverine is recruited to help prevent that, but the initial plans here go really bad, which caused Wolverine to seek revenge in the end. But this time, it's rather tactically, which is a little bit different than some of the recent stories that we've seen for him here, so this one's pretty good. Now, in the opening here, we find out that Magneto's asteroid M crashed into Earth, which released the largest EMP blast in the history of mankind. Now, what that does here is that it causes the entire northern hemisphere to go completely dark. Now, originally, Wolverine was in the Savage Land on vacation, as he calls it. Now, after a brief little altercation here with one of their creatures, Nick Fury pops up out of nowhere, and then Nick Fury is trying to recruit Wolverine to come with him. So Wolverine is like, okay, why are you here right now? You're messing up my vacation. This better be for a good reason. So Fury, kind of shocked, he's like, wait, you have no idea what's going on? So then 8 hours later here, when he brings him onto the helicarrier, Wolverine finds out that the asteroid M that crashed, that he finds out that there's an estimated 100 million people that are already dead. And what we find out is that the asteroid M detonated over Quebec, Canada, which basically has kind of wiped out the entire Canada here, and it's made it bad for all of North America, most of Northern Europe, and Asia, but it probably spared a couple billion lives in India and also in Southern Asia. So now the West, as Fury puts it, has less than a week before it's gone basically for good, and those millions could then become billions real fast. So to try to fix the situation here, Fury gathered what's left of S.H.I.E.L.D., who, by the way, used to have 20 fully functioning helicarriers. Now they're only down to 3 after that asteroid M crash. And he's also gathered Bucky Barnes and Captain America alongside Wolverine, because I guess there's probably no other heroes that are left here. Now, their mission is to go to Russia, where the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants are currently being run by Mastermind, to steer their cold fusion seed reactor, which would bring power back on over this side of the world here. So the S.H.I.E.L.D. team consisted of Clay, Dum Dum Dugan, which, like, what a name that is, right? Maria Hill. They get on their separate helicarriers with our 3 heroes to go retrieve, my bad guys, I should just say steal this item, because that's essentially what they're doing. Now, so 20 minutes later here, right, one of the helicarriers gets shot down and blown up, and everybody's like, yo, WTF, like, what's going on here? It turns out that Mastermind took control of Clay and used them to fire off on the other ships that were there. So Fury, in like a panic mode, he's like, yo, everybody jump. So we see our broke Avengers, or our Revengers. Listen, there's no name for this team here. We see these 3 heroes jumping down here with their parachutes on. Now, when they land, they're actually surprisingly very close to the Brotherhood base, which makes sense considering that Mastermind was in range to control Clay, so I guess it's really not that much of a surprise. Either way, let's move on. So everybody splits up, because for some reason, that was a really good idea. Like, seriously, guys, that was really dumb. Like, why would you split up? So guess what happens? Well, first, Deadpool stabs one of the redheaded S.H.I.E.L.D. members there. I said, listen, I'm sorry, guys, I don't know his name. They didn't say what his name was, right? And then Omega Red takes out another one, Sabretooth takes out another one, and then Maria Hill, she kicks the butt, because we don't actually see who takes her out. We just know that she's dead. Like, she's dead. So then Bucky Barnes, like the assassin, the trained stealth killer, he gets snuck up on and attacked by Sabretooth. That one still don't make sense to me. And then we see Captain America, being a kid, he's like skating down the snowy field here on his shield, which is kind of cool. But then later on, the whole boy gets yoked up by Omega Red. So then now Wolverine, the star of the show, he's like, listen, I know you all are there, and stop playing these games with me right now. So then Sabretooth, of course, had something to say to him. He's like, listen, I'm gonna tell you the truth here. Deadpool wanted to take you out from a distance. Omega Red wanted to gut you up close. But I told him that we had to take it easy on you, because the boss wants to work with you before you shut your eyes for good. So then sometime later, we see all 3 of them chained up together. Now, Captain America here and Winter Soldier, they're just waking up from the assault. Wolverine apparently has been awake this entire time. Now, they both start to realize that something is going on with their chest. So what happened here is that they stuck bombs into their chest, and for Wolverine in particular, they had to use combinations of like Omega Red's diseases before they found one that was strong enough to temporarily stunt his powers, his healing powers, to be able to stick it inside of Wolverine behind his rib cage, is what they said. So then Bucky finds out that this is kind of like redundant, because he's like, that you can't blackmail us or you can't coerce us into helping you guys. So why are you guys even going through these antics in the first place? But then Wolverine says they know this, but they're just playing with their food. And then he mentions, I expected better out of you, Petey, which he was referring to Colossus. So yeah, like apparently Colossus now is a part of the Brotherhood. By the way, if I haven't said this already, guys, this is not the main universe, so you can tell clearly by what's going on here. So he's all pissed because he's like, just because you guys are heroes and you believe in your cause, it doesn't make it right that you decided to come here to come steal our stuff. Now, either way, while this is all going on, Deadpool is getting real itchy. Like his fingers are getting real itchy to press this button, because as soon as you press those buttons, the bomb goes off. So then Wolverine basically kind of gives him a reason, because he frees Captain America and Bucky Barnes, and then they start running. And honestly, I really don't understand why they started running here. It's like, dude has the remote right there. Did they think that they were gonna like outrun the distance to where these remotes were going to work? It all doesn't really make sense to me. So either way, Deadpool pushes the buttons off on the remote, which by the way had their little like hero icons on it. I thought this was kind of cool. Of course, it's clear that they made this specifically for these three. So then Bucky and Cap, they are toast. They blow up completely. Now Wolverine tries to hang on here, but then he gets blown up too. But don't worry, he'll be back. Those other two though, nah, they are dead. Which by the way is also the reason why we know that this is not the main universe. So then later on here, Fury meets up with Wolverine, who is standing in front of Captain America's coffin. Now, by the way, Fury lets him know that back when he was on the helicarrier, that wasn't actually him, that was actually an LMD, which, are we surprised here by Nick Fury? This is kind of like his nature. And they both talk about it too. They're just like, yeah, I've known you for 50 years. I'm not really surprised that was an LMD. So then Fury lets Wolverine know like, listen, I'm done. Like, I have nothing else to do here. He's packing it up. Essentially, he's just going to wait this thing out until he perishes himself. Being that the rest of his whole team is like, their entire team is gone, I assume he's probably out of LMDs too. He's just like, yo, there's nothing else that I can do here. Now, one of the last things that he says is that like, if you know about the Cold War from back in the day, well, what's about to happen right now is going to get much worse than the Cold War. He's like, if we are lucky, there's only going to be a couple 100 million people on the continent in terms of like the remaining amounts that will die. But Logan, on the other hand, he's like, listen, I have a plan here, and his plan is revenge, which apparently, by the way, took about 3 months for him to figure out exactly what he wanted to do, because that is when we fast forward here into the future. So now he's out in Dakota, right? And to his surprise, he sees some light over like a hilltop, which, considering the blackout and all the power being down, is very unusual, right? So before he could get too far, we see an old familiar face pop up here, Danny Moonstar, and then a few demon bears, because that's like her thing. So then Wolverine is like, listen, y'all have light and y'all have power, so that must mean that you got that one guy that I need, and I'm not leaving here until I see my guy Forge. So then 2 days later, right, Forge takes Wolverine to a very important location. Now this location here is where Asteroid M was dropped when it crashed. Now the reason why they are here is because they want to find Magneto himself. Now they don't know what killed him, but based on Forge's tech, he knows that he is beneath this very location. So Wolverine is like, he's expecting some sort of like dope trinket from Forge in order to be able to like dig down to go find the body. But Forge is like, nah, bro, we going old school here. Here is a shovel. So then after a few digs here, we finally get to the meat of the matter, or the bones with the matter, I should say, Magneto himself. Now, what Wolverine wants here is the helmet, and you probably already guessed as to the reason why he wants a helmet, right? Now, Forge promises to give it a nice little touch up here with some shielding, a touch of vibranium, and then the helmet will be good to go. So then later on, we see this mysterious man walking in what is called a city that's name has been erased. And the people in this place are basically walking zombies. They are all brainwashed, which could only mean that there's one man behind this, and that is Mastermind himself, who, by the way, is being fed by what looks like a little girl, and then he's also being catered to by other little girls as well. Listen, bro, I'm gonna leave that one alone. I don't even want to get into it. So then Mastermind is like, okay, so who are you to this mysterious man? So he says, we'll get to that in a second, but I want to know where the others are. And he starts to name them out. He's like, Rasputin, I know about, referring to Colossus, but what about Wade? What about Creed? And then what about Omega Red? So Mastermind lets him know they have been casted out by Colossus, who apparently said that they were all beneath him. So then Mastermind is like, forget about that, right? How do we even know that this happened in the first place? So then Mastermind tries to break his mind. And by this point, point, guys, we know it's Wolverine, and he's doing a pretty good job of faking like his mind is being broken, but then he basically gives him the psych when he pulls off the robe and then reveals himself and shows that he has Magneto's helmet on, which then prevents Mastermind from getting into his mind. So then Mastermind turns to the girls and is like, save me! But Wolverine is like, nah, bro, it's too late for that, buddy. And then he pops them claws. He lunges at them with the Magneto helmet on. The funniest part to me here, by the way, is the fact that like he still has the Wolverine mask on under it. But you know why that is though, guys, right? Like you know why? Because it's mainly for killing, mostly. Deadpool and Wolverine movie reference. Let's just move on. So then Wolverine walks out with the people now being freed from Mastermind with Mastermind's head in his hand. Now, he didn't just take the head for funsies. He took it to be able to bring it back to Forge so that he could access his memories. Now, Wolverine wants to know where he can find the others. He sees that Colossus and Omega Red, that they're pretty close to each other as expected. And then Deadpool, yo, brother is all over the place, man. It is hard to pin down. But then he sees where Creed is, a Sabretooth, and that's where he wants to go hit first. So a week later, man, we see Sabretooth roasted what looks like a damn Sabretooth on the fire. Now, in mid-bite here, Wolverine pulls up on him. Listen, ain't nothing more disrespectful, man, than bothering somebody when they're eating. So then Wolverine is like, you're surprised to see me? So then Creed is like, nah, I knew you would make it. But then Creed is surprised, though, that Wolverine would come to see him first, which technically is not true because Wolverine has seen him second. So then Sabretooth is like, we both know that you can't take me. So any revenge that you want here, my guy, it ends right here and it ends right now. So let's go. Round one, fight. So now this fight to me basically is mostly one-sided from the way that I see it. Sabretooth palms Wolverine's entire face, which was just comical to me because of course Wolverine is so small. It's always funny. So then Wolverine, he does stab Sabretooth like straight through his forearm, which looks kind of gross and kind of dope at the same time. It looks like Sabretooth actually bit down on Wolvie's other forearm for whatever reason. And listen, this thing is just a giant bloodbath, as all of Sabretooth and Wolverine's fights are. And it looks like in this particular universe here that Sabretooth always has the upper hand here above Wolverine. Now, Wolverine tries to charge one time and Sabretooth just like hits him with the boot in the face. It's like, it just reminds me of wrestling. And then Sabretooth is taunting him. He's like, I want to prolong this a bit to savor the experience. Rip out your heart just to remind you that I own you. Always have and always will. And like I said, guys, Sabretooth is just wrecking this dude's right now. So instead of continuing the fight, Sabretooth stands up and then he starts to give the typical bad guy speech, right? Like you have the guy on the ropes, and then you start with the bad guy speech. He's like, hear me, Runt. Everything you ever thought was yours is mine. And when I'm done here, when I'm done with you, I'm even gonna take your ride. So Wolverine's like, whoa, slow your roll, my guy. Bro, this ride ain't even mine. I borrowed it from a friend and I just can't forgive myself when I don't return favors. So then Wolverine stabs him right in the gut. But this time, Sabretooth feels something different about this one. He's like, yo, I'm not. And then Wolverine finishes the sentence for him. He's like, yeah, you're not healing, buddy. So Forge had built a neutralizer that was on the bike's headlamp. So that was stopping Victor Creed here from healing. So now homeboy is bleeding out. So then Wolverine starts the threats himself. He's like, now you're done, buddy. He's like, I can do this one or two ways. I can tear you apart little by little and then come back year after year after year just to cut out additional pieces, or I can just end it straight right now. But then Sabretooth, you know what I mean, still keeping that energy. He's like, even now that I can't heal, I can still take you, buddy. So finally Wolverine says, that's funny because I thought I was talking to a dead man. And then once again, they're back at it again. So let me know what you guys think here about this Wolverine revenge series here in the comments. Don't forget to leave a like on this video here, guys, for the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to the channel if you are new here. Join the Discord. And as always, thanks so much for kicking it with Keepin the Comic. Bye.